So during the meeting, Your Honor, Ms. McQuarter made some verbal comments to Ms. Brown, which then escalated to Ms. McQuarter taking Ms. Brown's phone and slamming it on the table, and also taking a cup of coffee and throwing it at Ms. Brown. Your Honor, now, in today's case, the people will present one witness, and due to the fact that the people have only one witness for this case, Judge, I want the court to know it's important for the court to pay attention to the testimony from the complaining witness, as the complaining witness, Ms. Brown, will testify to the court what happened on that day, Judge. So I'm just asking for the court to listen to the testimony from the complaining witness and taking that testimony into consideration regarding this case, Your Honor. Once the court does that, the people hope the court comes back with a guilty verdict of count 1, malicious destruction of personal property, 200 or more but less than 1,000, and count 2, assault or assault battery. Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, any opening on behalf of the defense at this time?
Yes, Your Honor. We're gonna ask the court to pay attention to the fact that this meeting, this Narcotics Anonymous meeting at which both the parties were present, had about at least 20 other participants, and none of those people that would have been witnesses to this incident, none of those people are gonna be produced by the people to help them meet their burden of proof. We believe it's gonna come down to credibility, Your Honor. We believe at this point, even though she doesn't have to do anything, that Ms. McQuarter will take the stance that this court is the trier of fact and judge her credibility, Your Honor. And we believe at the close of the proofs, the people will have failed to meet their burden of proof, and we're gonna be asking to find Ms. McQuarter not guilty.
All right. You may call their first witness.
Thank you, Judge. At this time, the people will call Kimberly Brown to the stand.
Give your full legal name to the court.
Monique Brown, not Kimberly.
No, but I just said to the court, why you don't talk so loud? It's just for the court. All right, now step this way and raise your right hand for me. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God.
I do.
All right, please. All right, Ms. Ritter, you may proceed.
Thank you, Judge. Good morning, Ms. Brown.
Good morning.
And Ms. Brown, there's a mic in front of you. If you can pull that mic towards you so that you can speak directly to the mic.
I don't think she.
Okay. Can you state your full legal name for the record again, please?
Kim Monique Brown.
Thank you, Ms. Brown. And Ms. Brown, I want to take you back to January 29th of 2018. Do you recall that day?
Yes.
And on that day, were you at 3481 Brevard Street in the city of Detroit?
Yes, it's called the Recreational Center. I think that's the correct address.
Okay. And is that the county of Wayne?
Yes.
Okay. And Ms. Brown, can you start out by telling the court what you were doing at that location on that day?
I was at a NA meeting, and I have three-quarter housing, and basically, you know, I look for new clients. And when I came into the meeting,
Hold on. What was she doing that day? She was at a meeting.
Thank And what were you doing at that meeting, Ms. Brown?
I had went there to look for new clients.
Okay, when you say look for new clients, what was your occupation at that time?
I have a home, a three-quarter home, and I'm retired. I'm retired from the sheriff's department.
Okay, and were you retired on that day of the
Yes.
incident?
Yes, I retired from the sheriff's department. Well, I got hurt in 05 and I officially retired in 2010.
Okay,
So I was retired.
okay. And What happened while you were looking for clients at this, meeting?
So, I, know a lot of people there, and one of the guys, his name is Byron Taylor. He beckoned me to come over. And so, I walked towards him. He said, sit down, have a seat. And Monica was sitting next to him. He pulled up a chair in between. He scooted over and sat me in the chair next to Monica.
Okay, and the person you're referring to as Monica, do you see that person in the courtroom?
Yes, Monica McGuire.
Okay, and can you point that person out and tell me what they're wearing?
Locks, burgundy sweater, black shoes, black boots, looks like blue jeans.
Judge made the record reflect the identification of the defendant, Monica McGuire.
The record reflects the identification.
Thank you. And again, for the record, I'm sorry, Ms. Brown, where was Ms. McGuire, now that we know her name is Ms. McGuire, where was she at this point?
She was sitting basically next to Byron at the table. The table seats about maybe 10, 12 people, sometimes more. You know, if people want to just sit there, they kind of crowd around.
Okay, and where were these tables, situated at the
So
table?
inside of the recreation center, it's like, you could have a banquet hall, so they were kind of spaced a little bit. So this particular table is closest to like a little kitchen area where you could see the kitchen, but it was, you know, it was enough room to walk completely around the table with any problem. It was probably about 8 or 10 tables in the entire area.
Okay, now were there any other, was anyone else in this,
Yes,
banquet hall?
yes, it
Now,
was,
you have to let her finish her question completely before you begin your answer.
Yes.
Ms. Ritter, what's your question?
Was there anyone else in this banquet hall at the meeting?
yes,
Okay, do you recall how many, people were there?
yes, it was at least, 50 people.
Okay, now do you recall how many people was sitting at the specific table with Ms. McGuire?
Yes, that I was sitting. I'm sorry, ma'am. Yes, that I was sitting at the table with her. It was about 15 people, 12 to 15 people.
At this table?
Yes.
Okay, now what happens when you go over to this table?
So I'm sitting there, I sit down and I basically say hi to everybody. I speak to Ms. McGuire as well.
Did you
And-
know Ms. McGuire before this incident?
Well, we have been to several meetings together at the same spot. I don't know her, but I've seen her there on numerous occasions.
So before this incident, you knew who Ms. McGuire was?
Yes.
Okay, and what happens when you approach the table with Ms. McGuire?
So I sat down and I spoke to everyone. I just said hello.
Okay, where was Ms. McGuire sitting?
Once I sat down, she was sitting next to me.
Okay, and do you recall if it was to your left or your right?
It was to my right,
Okay, and do you recall if anyone was sitting to your left?
Byron Taylor.
Okay, and what happens after you sit down?
So, I said to Byron, why you have me sitting between you and Monica? I said, she got here obviously early to sit next to you.
Okay, and why did you make that type of statement to, Mr. Byron?
Because the meeting, didn't start until 7 o'clock, 6 p.m. And she was there way earlier than me because it was completely crowded. And it was really just a joke. I said to him, you know, she wants to sit next to you. I should sit on the other side.
And why did you say why did you assume that she wanted to sit next to Mr. Byron?
Because Byron would give her rides home from
Okay,
the meeting.
okay, and then, without telling me what anyone said, what happened after you made that statement?
So after I made that statement to Byron, Monica, she says, you know, don't nobody like you.
Okay, and what do you do after, Ms. McGuire said that?
So when she said that, I looked at her like, what do you mean, don't nobody like me? I'm not here for popularity.
Okay, and what happens next? Without telling me what anyone said, what happens next?
So after that, that's when, she told me something about, yeah, that's why nobody like your stupid ass, something to that effect.
Okay, what happens
And
next?
so then she stands up and throws her coffee in my face.
Okay,
And it was all running down my clothes and everything.
okay, and, do you recall where the coffee landed on you?
Yes, it hit me at the lower, part because I tried to jump back, so it hit me like from my mouth down.
Okay, now do you recall, if the coffee was hot?
Yes, it was hot. The coffee was hot, and so then, everyone started jumping up from the table at that time. I'm sitting right next to her. She then grabs
I want
my,
to, no narrative,
Thank you, Judge.
no narrative. And
Okay.
Thank you. So what happens after she throws the coffee under Ms. Brown?
So basically, after she threw the coffee, she grabbed my purse. Everybody's coming towards the table. I said, get my purse from her.
And what happened then?
That's when other people, they intervened and grabbed my purse and gave me my purse back. We had just kind of spread it, and basically the meeting was over after.
Okay, and did anything else happen after that?
No, they took her in a different direction. They took me in a different direction. The meeting basically closed. I left at that point
Okay, and where did you go after you left?
to the police station,
Okay, and do you remember, which police station you went to?
7th precinct.
Okay, do you remember where that is?
Right there off of Shane and, Matt,
Okay, so did you immediately go to the police station after this incident?
immediately.
Okay, and what happened when you got to the police station?
I came in, saw someone at the desk and told them what happened.
Okay, and did you make a report at the police station?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Judge. And, did you speak to the police after you made the report?
Yes.
Okay, do you recall when? The next time you spoke with a police officer?
I spoke with the detective. I guess it was probably about 3 days.
Okay. And do you recall what the detective's name was?
I don't.
Okay.
I maybe could look through because when you know,
Is it yes or no? I'm sorry.
no, I don't remember his name.
Okay, now, did you ever go to the emergency room, after this incident, Ms. Brown?
I didn't go to the emergency.
Okay, and why not?
I thought that it was just a mild burn. Like I said, it hit like from my chin and my clothes. I had on like I'm layered now. I was layered, but you could feel the fall, but it wasn't where I really needed to go to emergency at that time.
Okay, I have one moment, Judge. You right. Okay. One last question, Ms. Brown. Did you give Ms. McGuire permission to throw that coffee on you?
No, ma'am.
Okay, no further questions, Judge.
Boss examination.
So, Ms. McQuire, your testimony to this court today that you went to a Narcotics Anonymous meeting to recruit clients for a 3-quarter household?
Yes.
All right. Had you gone to Narcotics Anonymous meetings before that?
Yes.
Did you go to those meetings to recruit residents for your 3-quarter household?
Yes.
And did you go to any meetings after this incident? Any Narcotics Anonymous meetings after this incident?
Yes.
And was that to recruit residents to your 3-quarter household?
Yes. That was a part of it. Yes.
Okay. Was that your primary reason for going?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I don't have any further questions.
Very briefly, Judge. Ms. Brown, can you explain to the court what a 3-quarter household?
It's a home where you rent rooms and they actually share the kitchen, the day area, like living room, dining room, washer, dryer. So they say 3-quarter housing because everything, their rooms are completely theirs, but the rest of the house is shared 3/4.
Okay, and you testified that you go to recruit clients, is that correct?
Yes.
So this is a part of some type of program?
I used to be a soldier at the Salvation Army. And people go to treatment and when they come out, they need housing. And I had a home that was available and that's kind of like how I got into it.
Okay, and you testified that you had been to this specific place to recruit clients before this incident day?
Yes.
Okay, no further questions.
Really briefly? how many Narcotics Anonymous meetings have you attended?
Several. It's no particular number because in this business, ma'am, people come
Let
and
me
go.
ask you this, have you attended 10 Narcotics Anonymous meetings?
Yes,
Have you attended 50 Narcotics Anonymous meetings?
I've attended several, so I don't have a specific number, but it's been a lot.
And your primary reason for attending these meetings is to recruit clients for these three-quarter household?
Yes.
Okay.
Ms. Ritter? All right, ma'am, you may step down. You're free to remain in the courtroom if you want. Anything else on behalf of the people?
Nothing further we have to speak.
All right. Can you get the lawyer, Mr. Miller? Is there anything, so the people rest?
People do rest.
Okay. Anything on behalf of the defense?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
Your Honor, at this time, on behalf of Ms. McGuire, I'm gonna move for a directed verdict. That is, for a witness to take the stand, to come to the 36th District Court and to testify that she has attended somewhere between 10 and 50 Narcotics Anonymous meetings. The primary purpose being to recruit clients, residents of these three-quarter house, whatever you want to call it. That is absolutely incredible testimony. Now, I know this court and the people, myself, have been at this a few minutes. And it's called Narcotics Anonymous for a reason. The people that go to Narcotics Anonymous meetings, just like they go to Gamblers Anonymous meetings, just like they go to Alcoholics Anonymous meetings, they go to these meetings because they have an issue. They go there as a support system for an issue that they're trying to deal with, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's everything right with that. It is incredible and offensive for a person to come to court and make up a tale and expect the trier of fact, expect anybody else that would be listening that they didn't go to a Narcotics Anonymous meeting because they have a substance abuse problem. That's not even an issue here. That is dishonest. That is absolutely ridiculous. And this witness's testimony, nothing, I would argue, that this witness has to say after that has any credibility whatsoever. And based solely upon that, I'm moving for a directed verdict, Your Honor. That doesn't make any sense to me.
Ms. Ritter?
Thank you, Judge. So Judge, the court views the motion for directed verdict, in light of the non-moving party. I'm gonna ask the court to deny the defense counsel's motion, Your Honor. Ms. Brown, who's the complainant witness in this case, did get on the stand and testify that she was at this Narcotics Anonymous meeting for whatever reason, Judge. And she came to sit down next to Mr. Byron, as the testimony reflects, and Ms. McGuire, maybe got a little bit upset because she was sitting next to this person for whatever reason, but Ms. Brown made some type of statement that made Ms. McGuire upset. She testified that Ms. McGuire then took her coffee and threw it in her face, hitting her chin and running down her chest. Your Honor, I believe that going to the defense counsel's reason for the motion directed verdict for the credibility of the witness, I believe that would be a question of fact for a prior effect, opposed to the people being able to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that an assault and battery occurred in this case, Your Honor. I also believe that there was enough testimony, sufficient testimony from this one witness, although people don't have any other witnesses, which is not required to prove their verdict. However, there was enough testimony from complaining witness for the people to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that Ms. McGuire threw this coffee on Ms. Brown. Now, if the court, Judge, there wasn't any testimony regarding count one, which is destruction of personal property. People do acknowledge that. And if the court is inclined to dismiss that count, that's fine. However, the people do believe that the court should decline the motion for directed verdict with respect to count 2 solely because in light of the non-moving party, that.
Go ahead. Oh, I was too, but they're gone, go ahead.
And, there's enough for the people to prove y'all without count 2. Thank you very much.
Who is that? That probation officer that was sitting down, is that person that was sitting down is a probation officer? Oh. Okay. Mrs. Stevenson, is your motion?
The trier of fact has to believe her, has to believe the complaining witness, because she's the people's only witness. She's her credibility is central. It's their entire burden of proof rests upon the credibility of somebody who's not telling the truth. She's all they have. They don't have the other 40 or 50 or however many people were here, but beyond that, I don't care how many people come in here. It's not true that you go to a Narcotics Anonymous meeting as some kind of, I don't know, whatever said she was doing. Her testimony has to be believable, and it's not, Your Honor.
All right, I'm gonna consider the motion. So hold tight, I'm ready on Lynise, and I'm gonna take the pretrial case first. Mr. Lynise, come and stand next to your lawyer up here, this lawyer. All right, Ms. Hernandez, you're still under oath.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, recalling case number 0D39fals2Ic, the people versus Bryant, Lynise, and in that case, the defendant is charged with assault or assault and battery, and today is the day set for pretrial conference.
Estamos, señora Hernández, usted todavía sigue juramentada. Nuevamente estamos llamando al caso 230584691 de agresión o agresión con lesiones. En este caso, este es el día y la hora propuesta para la consulta previa al juicio.
For the record, Your Honor, Janice Stevenson appearing on behalf of Mr. Brian Lynise.
Su señoría, para que conste en el acta, Jenny Stevenson representando al acusado, señor Brian Lynise.
Mr. Lynise, sir, please tell the judge your full name.
Señor Lynise, por favor, si es tan amable, diga para que conste en el acta su nombre completo.
Mi nombre es Bryant Adalid Lynise Lanza.
My name is Bryant Adalid Lynise Lanza.
And Ms. Renner, I know you put your appearance on before, but do it again.
Yes, sir.
Ok, señora Hernández, usted ya.
For the record, Your Honor, Christina Ritter on behalf of the people.
Señora Ritter, usted ya puso su comparecencia también, pero hágala nuevamente, su señoría, para que conste en el acta, es Cristina Ritter representando a la fiscalía.
And I have the complaint witness present via Zoom with respect to case number ended in 469.
Y tengo a la testigo acusadora aquí representada en pantalla como Lynise 469.
Ms. Baker, unmute yourself and state your name for the court, please.
Ella es la señora Baker. Señora Baker, por favor, diga su nombre para que conste en el acta.
Olivia Baker.
Olivia Baker.
All right, as to the pretrial conference, Ms. Stevenson.
Your
Señora
Honor,
Stevenson, ¿cómo desea usted proseguir con la consulta previa al juicio?
Mr. Lynise continues his plea of not guilty. We ask that this matter be set for final pretrial conference, and we request this.
Tu señoría, el señor quiere seguir continuar, el señor Lynise, y está pidiendo una fecha para continuar con juicio.
The court continues a not guilty plea on behalf of Mr. Lynise and set the matter for a final pretrial conference, February the 1st, 2024.
La corte va a continuar con su declaración de no culpabilidad ante la corte y va a seguir para una continuación de la consulta previa al juicio para el día 3 de enero del 2024. Your Honor, January the 3rd.
Say that
Right?
again.
Your Honor, January the 3rd, 2024?
No, February the 1st.
Oh, okay, sorry. Disculpe, es primero el 3 de febrero, no, es el 3 de enero, no, es el 3 de febrero.
Discovery should be submitted by January the 2nd.
I'm sorry, Your Honor.
Yes.
She's saying the 3rd is February 1st. Is that what the court said?
Okay, February 1st, Ms. Hernandez.
Thank you, Your Honor. Señor, disculpe, la continuación va a ser para el día 1 de febrero.
All right, February 1st. And then discovery should be submitted by January the 2nd.
Y entonces todas las pruebas para ser compartidas deben estar ya sometidas para el día 2 de enero.
Bond will continue with no contact with the complaining witness.
Y la fianza va a continuar y va a continuar también la orden de no contacto con la testigo acusadora.
With respect to the February 1st court date, Ms. Baker, you are not required to appear.
Y señora Baker, con respecto a la próxima audiencia, el día 1 de febrero, señora Baker, usted no necesita estar presente.
However, you may appear if you want to. You can appear at all the scheduled court appearances.
Pero señora, usted puede comparecer, estar presente para cualquiera de las audiencias si usted así lo desea.
All right, anything further?
¿Está bien algo más?
No, thank you, Judge.
No, gracias, su señoría.
Request is Spanish interpreter, Your Honor, for the February 1st final pretrial conference.
Yes.
La defensa solicita un intérprete para el 1 de febrero, su señoría, sí.
All right. Then with respect to this case, we're all set. Again, Ms. Baker, thank you so very much for your patience with the process this morning. Appreciate it.
Está bien. Con respecto a este caso, ya hemos concluido nuevamente. Señora Baker, muchísimas gracias por toda su paciencia durante toda la mañana.
Thank you.
All right.
Gracias.
You're welcome. Yes. Mr. Miller, I'm ready.
Yes, Your Honor.
Señor Miller, estoy lista.
Am I good to go?
Yes. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, ma'am. You're all set. Have a great day. Stay safe.
Thank you, you too.
All right.
Sí, señoría, ¿puedo ir? Sí, sí, señora, discúlpeme. Sí, que tenga muy buen día. Gracias, señoría.
Okay, now I'm ready on case number 235834201. And in that case, defendant is charged with malicious destruction of trees and shrubbery, and today is the date set for sentencing.
Está bien, estamos listos para continuar. Esta vez estamos hablando del caso 230-5834-201 y en este caso, señor, usted ha sido acusado de destrucción maliciosa y hoy es el día y la hora establecidos para la sentencia de este caso.
Appearances, please.
Su comparecencia, por favor, para que conste en el acta.
For the record, Your Honor, Christina Ritter on behalf of the people.
Para que conste en el acta su señoría Cristina Ritter representando al Estado.
Good morning, Your Honor. For the record, J. Grant Miller, P58658 on behalf of Mr. Lynise.
Para que conste en el acta, su señoría Grant Miller, número 58658, representando al señor Lynise.
And your name again, Mr. Lynise.
Y señor Lynise, nuevamente su nombre.
Mi nombre es Brian Adalid Laínez Lanza.
My name is Bryant Adalid Lynise Lanza.
All right, today is the day set for sentencing, and the court has had an opportunity to review the pre-sentence report.
Está bien, hoy es el día establecido para la sentencia y la Corte ha tenido la oportunidad de revisar el reporte precondenatorio.
With respect to the report itself, are there any additions, deletions, or corrections on behalf of the people?
Con respecto al reporte antes mencionado, ¿hay alguna adición, sustracción o algún cambio?
Yes, Judge, just one minor, correction.
Sí, su señoría, solamente una corrección en el récord.
On the first page, the original charge should be malicious destruction of property, 200 or more, I'm sorry, 1,000 or more, but less than 20,000.
Sí, en la primera página, el cargo original era destrucción maliciosa de propiedad de entre $1,000 y $20,000.
And then the final charge should be the malicious destruction of trees, shrubs, and grass, less than $200.
Y el cargo que es ahora es destrucción maliciosa de árboles, arbustos, plantas y césped y suelo por menor de $200.
Okay, any other corrections? Ms. Ritter?
No, thank
¿Alguna otra corrección, señor Ritter? No, gracias.
Mr. Miller, any additions, deletions, or corrections?
Yes, Your Honor.
Señor Miller, ¿alguna adición, alguna, que se te va a quitar o algún cambio? Sí, su señoría.
If the court looks to the second to last page, Mr. Lynise didn't discuss this with probation.
Su señoría, con la segunda página antes de la última, el señor Lynise nunca discutió esto con el Departamento de Probación.
So I approached probation to figure out why, and I've spoken with one agent who they've talked with some other people and believe they can get him interviewed, and we believe we understand why it may not have happened, Your Honor.
Y con respecto a esto, yo llamé al departamento de probación, hablé con un agente que habló con otra gente, y ellos podrían, no saben por qué esto pasó o podrían tener una respuesta a por qué pasó.
Your Honor, may we approach for a sidebar?
Su señoría, ¿nos podemos acercar para una consulta en privado con usted?
Yes, you may.
Sí, sí puede.
No, it's going back. Stand. Better get away from him. Stay back there.
Thank you very much. Oh, okay.
Okay. All right, so having had a discussion off the record, the court agrees that Mr. Lynise should be interviewed by the specialty, court coordinator, and then I guess in connection with probation.
Está bien, después de nuestra consulta en privado, la Corte está de acuerdo en que el señor Lynise debería tener una conversación con el coordinador de la Corte Especial en concordancia y también con el Departamento de Probación.
And then if he goes to Judge Holmes, we'll keep that in mind for his pretrial case.
Y entonces, si él va entonces a pasar para la corte de la juez Holmes, entonces nosotros tendremos esto en consideración para entonces pasar sentencia.
Ms. Hernandez, I understand they need you though to help them talk to Mr. Lynise.
Right now,
Yeah,
by Zoom, okay, because I'm 45 minutes away.
no, that you're gonna have to just zoom in. She's 45 minutes away. She'll have to zoom in. Can she zoom into another Zoom?
Yes, ma'am.
What Zoom?
I can, if I can get her phone number, then I can call her and.
Okay. I'm actually live streaming, Ms. Hernandez. Can you,
I can give her my number, she can contact me.
okay. Yes, Ms. Hernandez, write down this phone number.
Yes.
Yeah, I wanna apologize for me and my coworkers, our conversation.
Oh, that's okay. What's your phone number?
It's 313-965-3423. And it's Officer Tracy Bryson.
Okay, I got it. 313-965-3423, Officer Tracy Franklin.
Yes, ma'am.
You want me to call you when we finish here, Your Honor?
Yes, so what I'm gonna do is I'm going to pass I'm sure he's eligible. I know he's eligible. So what I'm gonna do is let them talk to him and then get a date for Judge Holmes' court. Okay?
Okay.
And then you can explain it to him more, in the other Zoom. So counsel, they're gonna probably give me a date and then that's it. If for some reason it doesn't pan out, you gotta clear out your voicemail, though, counsel.
I apologize, Your Honor. As we've been standing here, 30 other phone calls from the jail have filled my voicemail again.
Okay, all right. Well, we'll let you know if we need you back.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, all right. Ms. Hernandez, tell Mr. Lynise to go with probation.
Señor Hernández, dígale, señor Lynise, que vaya por favor con el departamento de probatorio.
A ver, tengo una pregunta.
I have a question.
Okay,
Al riñete me lo van a quitar hoy porque me dijeron que si me lo iban a quitar ahora, no estoy seguro.
Okay, I want to know if the GPS will be removed today because I was informed it and I'm not sure. The
that's
tether?
right. Oh, but I let the lady go.
O si es verdad.
Did your witness
Señor Ritter.
she had an objection last time to the removal of the tether, didn't she?
Ella tenía una objeción la última vez para quitarle el tether, la tobillera localizadora.
She did in a quarter minute, for the curfew of the house.
I couldn't hear that.
She said she did, Judge, and the court amended it from house arrest.
Sí, ella dice que sí, que ella tuvo una objeción y que la corte entonces cambió las disposiciones, las condiciones de la tobillera para que fuera para detención en la casa, que le permitiera entonces al señor salir e ir a trabajar.
Talk to probation first, and then I'll make a decision about the tether.
Está bien, entonces hable primero con el departamento de probación y después yo haré una decisión con respecto a la tobillera localizadora o al grillete.
I think that's why the witness stayed so long, because she wanted to see if I was going to remove the tether.
Yo pienso que esa es la razón por la cual la testigo acusadora se quedó todo este tiempo, porque ella quería saber si yo iba a ordenar que le quitaran el grillete.
Judge, will the court like you to get the witness back on?
Sorry. Your Honor, I miss everything.
Oh, repeat, Ms. Ritter.
I'm sorry, Ms. Hernandez. Judge, would the court like for the people to get the witness back on Zoom?
And then I said maybe.
Ah, ok, gracias. Repita, sí, su señoría, la fiscalía pide que entonces se llame nuevamente a la testigo acusadora para que se presente. Y la juez contestó a lo mejor.
So talk to probation first, and then I'll tell you about the tether.
Ok, entonces hable primero con el departamento de probatorio y después entonces hablamos sobre el grillete. Your Honor, now I'm going to explain him everything that you said before regarding Josh Holmes and the person that is behind him, and they gave me a telephone and all that because I didn't interpret anything of that.
I don't even remember what I said, but can you tell them?
I have it, Your Honor.
Oh, okay,
I
go
got
ahead.
my notes. Thank you. Ok, señor, entonces nosotros pensamos que usted tiene que ir entonces debido a la consulta que tuvimos aquí en privado. La Corte está de acuerdo en que usted tiene que hablar primero con el Departamento de Probación a ver si usted es elegible para la Corte Especial, ¿verdad? De la jueza Holmes. Si es así, entonces usted tiene que hablar con ellos. Yo pienso que realmente usted va a ser elegible para esa corte de especialidad. Entonces, por favor, vaya al departamento de probación. Señor Hernández, usted puede interpretar para el departamento de probación, si es solamente por Zoom, porque yo estoy a 45 minutos. Sí, no hay problema. Anote este número de teléfono. Me dieron el número de teléfono. Es de la oficial con la que usted se va a ir a reunir ahorita. Yo la voy a llamar y voy a poder interpretarle entonces usted su conversación con la oficial Tracy Franklin. ¿Entendió cómo va a ser la hablada con la comprobación?
Sí, más o menos.
Yeah. Do you understand what are we going to do? Yeah, kind of.
Okay, all right, okay. All right, thank you, counsel. We'll call you if we need, well, we're not gonna reach you, but if it's another day, we'll try to find out. We'll let you know. Okay, that's good. Yeah, you can.
15 seconds.
Yes, Ms. Stevenson, he wants to tell you something.
Okay.
Okay, Your Honor, should I wait here or just log?
No, go ahead and hang up and then call the probation to find out the new Zoom number.
Okay, but stay here in mute or disconnect?
No, disconnect.
Okay, perfect. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Disconnect here.
Yes. Might as well.
In a brief recess, y'all may remain seated.
Thank you.
Okay. Cool, thank you. First back session.
I mean, that's what's gonna happen. I don't listen. Okay. It is what it is. All right, I'm ready to go back on the record with required. Okay. So the court has considered the motion for directed verdict, and in doing so, the court does consider the motion in a light most favorable to the non-moving party, that being the people. And when considering the testimony in a light most favorable to the non-moving party, the court will decline to direct a verdict in favor of the defense.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome.
At this time, we're gonna call Ms. Monica McQuire.
All right, Ms. McQuire, stand for me. And, state your name for me.
Monica J. McQuieter.
Ms. McQuire, your lawyer has indicated that she intends to call you for a witness in this case. Did you understand that?
Yes,
Do you understand, Ms. McQuire, that as the defendant, you have an absolute right to remain silent? Do you understand that?
yes,
Do you understand that if you give up your right to remain silent and testify in this case, that I am going to use your entire testimony to make my decision with respect to this case? I will use your testimony and the evidence that the people have presented. You understand?
yes,
Ma'am, has anyone threatened you in any way or promised you anything to get you to give up your right to remain silent and testify?
no,
Do you understand that the decision to testify is yours and yours alone in consultation with your lawyer?
yes,
With that understanding, ma'am, you've spoken to Ms. Stevenson, correct?
yes, correct,
And after speaking to Ms. Stevenson, is it your decision to testify?
yes.
All right, you may step up. And then before you have your seat, raise your right hand for me. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
You may be seated.
Ms. McQuire, we're gonna go straight back to January 29, 2018. Were you present at 3481 Brevard Street in the city of Detroit?
Yes,
And what's at that location, if you remember?
I'm sorry.
What is at that location? What's at 3481 Brevard Street?
It's a Catholic church and they have a recreation center next door, which is where we were.
Okay, when you say we, who do you mean?
Me and Miss Brown.
Okay.
The meeting, the NA meeting and the NA meeting.
Okay, so you were at an Narcotics Anonymous meeting on that date?
Yes.
Okay, and why were you at that meeting?
Because I'm a recovering addict.
Okay, and you were recovering at the time of this meeting?
Yes.
Okay, so why did you go to that meeting?
Well, I went to that particular meeting because it was close to my house, but I go to meetings on a regular basis.
Okay, you go to Narcotics Anonymous meetings?
Not anymore, I go to AA.
Okay, why?
NA is a little too much for me and, my drug of choice is more alcohol than drugs.
Okay, all right, okay. Is it safe to say that you get some support for managing an addiction, those meetings?
Tremendous support going to AA.
Okay, so on January 29, 2018, do you remember how many other people were present at that meeting?
It was a lot of people at the meeting, I would say maybe, over 50 plus.
Okay, all right. So you heard Ms. Brown's description of events that transpired that night, right? You heard Ms. Brown testify?
Yes, I did.
Okay, all right. So let me ask you, did you throw any coffee at Kim Brown?
No, I did not.
Okay, did you, was there any type of an incident or altercation between you and Ms. Brown today?
A verbal incident, a verbal altercation.
Tell us what happened with that verbal altercation,
Ms. Brown came into the meeting late.
okay?
You want me to start from the very beginning?
You know what, how about you just talk and I'll stop you when you need to stop, okay?
Yes, ma'am. The meeting had started. Ms. Brown came into the meeting late.
And, okay, and so how long had you been there, do you think, by the time that Ms. Brown arrived?
I would usually get to that meeting, it started at 6, I stayed across the street, I would get there maybe 10 minutes to 6.
Okay, so about what time do you think it was, if you remember, about what time you think it was when Ms. Brown got?
It was maybe 6:30, 6:45.
Okay, and what happened after she arrived?
She arrived, she came over to the table where I was sitting, which was the first step table.
And what happened?
She sat directly in front of me and I spoke to her.
Okay, and then what happened after you spoke to Ms. Brown?
She didn't speak back. I said, we're not speaking today.
And then what happened?
And she kept on looking at her cell phone
Okay,
and
did
I
you
don't,
speak to her again?
I said, you're not speaking today. I don't know if she responded right then or right there, but she did go on to remind me how long she had been clean.
Okay, and then what happened?
And then we started going back and forth, arguing. I don't remember how it transpired,
Okay,
calling each other out of their name, calling.
do you remember, do you remember what caused an argument?
It was, she probably agitated, irritated me because she didn't respond. She
Okay,
kept on looking into her telephone. All I know is I've been clean however many amount of years
which is what she said to you?
which is what she said. Yeah.
Okay, all right. And so, tell us about the verbal argument between you and Ms. Brown.
Be this, be that,
You guys are calling each other
yes,
names?
back and forth.
Okay.
It was crazy, it was weird. It was
Okay, let me
unnecessary.
ask you something. How long do you think this went on?
This went on maybe 10 minutes.
Okay,
Maybe the total argument maybe went on maybe 15, 20 minutes,
Wow.
maybe.
okay. Does it ever get physical?
Never.
Okay. So at some point, the argument does end.
Yes.
Okay, and then what happened? How did the argument end? Why did it end, do you think? Or do you remember?
The argument really ended because I don't think neither one of us wanted to continue. We both, the group, the people in the meeting kept on telling me and her, be quiet, leave it alone.
Okay, so some of the other participants at the meeting started trying to calm you both
Calm
down.
everybody down.
Did it get calmed down?
Yes, it did.
And then what happened?
The meeting proceeded.
Okay, and so what happened after the argument was over? What
After
happened?
the argument was over, if I remember correctly, Ms. Brown was not sitting at the table anymore. She was sitting at another table.
Okay, and then what happens at the meeting?
The meeting went on. We kept on sharing.
Okay, about how long do you think the meeting went on, Ms. McQuieter?
I would say the meeting went on maybe 15, 20 minutes, and then as usual, it ended.
Okay, how did it end?
Everybody was done sharing, and like we do, we closed the meeting. We got in a circle and closed the meeting, said a prayer, and the meeting was over.
Okay, all right. Now, do you remember how many people were present at the meeting?
It was a lot of people. It was probably less than 100.
Okay, all right. Had you been,
50, but less than 100.
okay, now let me just, had there been some kind of fight at this meeting? What do you think the church would have done?
Just objection, speculation.
Sustain. So have you ever had the opportunity to be, this is yes or no, had you ever been in an NA meeting where a fight broke out?
Yes.
Okay, what happened?
This was a long, long time ago, a long, long time ago. Two girls were, this was not at this meeting.
Uh-huh.
Two
Well,
girls,
let me ask you, what happened after that fight broke out at that meeting, if you remember?
the girls were fighting in the parking lot. They broke it up. Long story short, they drove away now.
Okay, do you know if that meeting continued?
Yeah, that meeting continued,
Okay, so it's important for the meeting to go on.
very much so.
Very good. Okay, all right, I don't have anything further.
Cross examination. Yes, sir. Good afternoon, Ms. McQuarter.
Good afternoon.
So, Ms. McQuarter, I just want to ask a couple questions, just to clarify your testimony. If you need me to repeat a question, or you can't understand my question, just let me know, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so Ms. McQuarter, you said that you do not attend the NA meetings, you attend the AA meetings?
Yes.
And you said because it's more support in AA meetings?
It's more supportive, it's less drama, it's less chaos, they're more friendly in AA. And I started going to that particular meeting because it was directly across from my house, and I just needed to be around people like myself.
Okay, and when you say people like yourself, are you referring to people whose drug of choice is alcohol opposed to other drugs?
Well, you can go where you want to go, but most of the people in Narcotics Anonymous, I would assume, did drugs.
Okay, and you didn't do drugs?
Well, I experimented with crack and I smoked pot.
Okay, and is that
And
why
drank
you went?
alcohol.
Okay, but is that why you went to the NA meetings initially?
Yeah, because alcohol is a drug.
I understand. So how long were you in NA?
I was new to NA, I would say less than a year, 6 months.
So you were in NA 6 months, and then after 6 months.
This particular time, because I have relapsed.
Okay, so going back to the day of this incident,
Yes.
you were in NA 6 months prior to switching over to AA,
Yes,
and they allowed you to switch from NA to
they
AA?
don't have nothing to do with that.
They don't have nothing to do with that?
No, I can go anywhere I want to go. Don't nobody make me go to NA or AA. I go where it serves me best. It's my choice.
So you can wake up one day and say, I don't wanna go to NA, I wanna go to AA. and go
Of
to AA.
course, yeah.
Okay, so is the NA and the AA meetings held in the same, at the same place, at the Sacred Heart Center?
Yeah, they do have AA meetings. They're on different dates and on different days.
So on this day, what meeting were you at? Was that
They had
an
a
AA?
Narcotics Anonymous meeting.
But you were already in AA, correct? Yes
I
or no,
could
Mr.
go
Bryant?
anywhere I want. I just chose to go to NA that particular day.
So on this day, you
On
said,
Tuesday, I could have went to AA.
so you switched back and forth to go to NAAA?
Yeah, yes.
And how many times do you attend the AA meeting
Presently or back then?
at the time of this incident? How long, how many?
Every day,
So you went to AA every day?
yes, or
Except-
NA. I either went to a NA or AA meeting every day, sometimes twice a day.
That's not my question, Ms. McGuire. My question is, so you're testifying that you go to AA every day,
Yes,
but on this particular day, you decided to go to NA, correct?
yes.
Okay. And you testified that you were upset about the complaint witness not speaking to you?
No, I didn't say I was upset.
You didn't testify that you were upset? You were irritated that she didn't respond to you?
I don't think that's what I said.
That's not what you said?
I don't think so. I can't remember.
You can't remember what you
But I
just said?
wasn't irritated because she didn't speak, because that's not the first time she didn't speak. So no, I was not irritated.
So why did you ask her, you testified, you asked her, we're not speaking today. Why did you say that if you weren't irritated?
Because she didn't speak, and I said, we're not speaking today.
Okay, and did you know Ms. Brown prior to the day of this incident?
I only knew her by seeing her at the meeting,
So you didn't know her outside of the meeting?
not personally, no.
So you didn't talk to her other than hello in the meetings?
That's it.
So why was it important for her to speak to you if you didn't know her or didn't talk to her?
I speak to everybody.
Okay. And you testified that this verbal argument lasted 15 to 20 minutes?
Maybe less, yeah.
But is it, you testified 15 to 20 minutes, so was it less than 15 to 20 minutes?
It lasted 10 to 15 minutes.
So now you're saying it lasted 10 to 15
It
minutes?
lasted from 10 to 20 minutes.
Okay, so between 10 to 20 minutes, you and Ms. Brown are going back and forth, correct?
Correct.
And while you're in the meeting, you testified that there were about 50 people in the meeting?
Or more, yes.
Okay, so was it more than 50 or less than 50?
More than 50,
Okay, it's more than 50 people in the meeting.
yes.
And you testified that everyone was trying to calm you and Ms. Brown down, correct?
No, not everyone, some were watching. No, not everyone.
So who tried to de-escalate the situation?
From what I can remember, maybe 4 people tried, 2 tried to calm me down, and I don't know how many was talking to Ms. Brown.
So you didn't testify to Ms. Stevenson that everybody in the meeting was trying to break up the verbal argument?
Maybe I did, but everybody wasn't trying to break it up, some were just watching.
Okay, and you testified that the meeting lasted about 15 to 20 minutes?
After the argument, yes,
Okay, and after 20 minutes, the meeting was over?
yeah.
Okay, and what's typically the discussion in these meetings? What topics?
The step one, step two, it's 12 steps.
Okay, and everyone has a turn to speak at the meeting?
If they choose to, yes.
Okay, so your testimony is that this meeting lasted 20 minutes and it was about 50 or more people there?
It did last in its entirety for 20 minutes.
So how long did it last, Mr. McGuire?
You mean from the time it started?
From the time the meeting started, how long did the
It
meeting last?
lasted maybe an hour and a half from the time it started.
Okay, so now you're testifying it lasted an hour and a half?
And a half, yes, it goes from 6 to 7:30.
Okay, and you testified that you did not throw any coffee on Ms. Brown?
No, I did not.
So after the verbal argument, what did you do?
I sat down.
And what did Ms. Brown do?
She wasn't at that table, she was sitting at another table.
Okay, when did she leave the table?
When she stood up and we were arguing, when the argument was over, she went to another table. I stayed at the same table.
Okay, and that's when the meeting started at that point, correct?
Restarted, continued. The meeting continued.
Okay,
When we got through arguing and she left the table, we continued.
okay, so I'm just a little bit confused, Ms. McCarty, because you testified that the meeting had not started yet because you got there early, correct?
The meeting starts at 6, I got there at 5:50.
Okay, and when did Ms. Brown come?
She, as usual, got there late, around 6:30, 6:45.
So the meeting had already started?
Yes,
Okay,
she was late.
and she was late to the meeting?
Yes,
Okay, and in the middle of the meeting was a verbal argument between you and Ms. Brown?
yes.
Okay, and did you see Ms. Brown after that meeting?
No, I did not.
Okay, did you go back to the meeting to NA the next day?
The next Monday I did.
I'm talking about the next day after
No,
this.
I did not, because there wasn't no meeting to go to the next day.
Okay, how often does, NA meet?
Every Monday at 6 o'clock.
Okay, and you went the next Monday?
Yes.
And was Ms. Brown there?
No, she was not.
Okay, did you go to the AA meeting after that?
Probably, yeah.
Probably.
Yeah, I went to a meeting.
Is it probably yes or no?
Yes,
You did,
yes,
because you go to AA every day, correct?
yes.
No further questions, Judge. Ms. Stevenson.
Nothing at all, thank you.
All right, thank you, ma'am. You may step down.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Anything further on behalf of the defense?
Bench register,
Anything further on behalf of the people? Nothing further, Judge. Open argument on behalf of the people. Yes, Judge. So, Your Honor, as the court heard the testimony from the complainant witness, Ms. Brown testified again that on this day, January 29th of 2018, she went to this Narcotics Anonymous meeting, trying to recruit clients for her third quarter housing program that she's holding. She also testified that Ms. McQuarter was there on this specific day, and as she sat down to speak to someone else that was at the meeting, Ms. McQuarter and her got into a verbal argument afterwards. Ms. Brown testified that during the verbal argument, Ms. McQuarter took her coffee, threw it on Ms. Brown, which hit her in the chin and ran down to her chest area. Your Honor, Ms. Brown testified that after that, she got up, she left the meeting and immediately reported the incident to the 7th precinct with an officer at the precinct. Your Honor, Ms. Brown's testimony, as it was provided to this court, is enough for the people to meet their burden as to assault and battery. Ms. Brown told the court what happened. Ms. Brown explained to the court why she was there. Ms. Brown truthfully appeared to this court as being honest as to what happened on the day of that incident, which goes to her credibility, Your Honor. And it's important, as the people pointed out in their opening statements, that this court pay attention to the details of the testimony. When Ms. Brown was on the stand, Ms. Brown testified, and her testimony was accurate as to what happened on that day. She testified at one point to the court that Ms. McQuire was sitting on her right side and another person was sitting on her left side. She gave the court the details of the incident, and she gave the court a vivid picture of what happened on the day. And I think that's important, Your Honor, because when we're talking about credibility and we're talking about honesty, details pointing out where someone was sitting, where she went after the incident, who she reported the incident to, goes to her telling the truth because that's actually what happened. She gave this court a timeline of when she came to the meeting till after the incident happened with Ms. McQuire throwing the coffee on her to going to the precinct. And that speaks to the credibility of Ms. Brown's testimony that she's given to the court today. And with that, Judge, I'm asking the court to take that into consideration because again, the people have only provided one witness as evidence to this court. And knowing that this court has a very keen eye for detail, has a very keen eye and discernment for determining the credibility of the witness, I'm hoping this court takes that testimony from Ms. Brown and finds Ms. McQuire guilty of count 2 assault and battery. Thank you, Judge. Ms. Stevenson.
So find her guilty. Why? Because somebody says, and she says that this incident happened, and she says that after this incident happened, she went to the police department, and she says that her phone was damaged, and she says that she had some damage to a person. She says all this stuff, but she says that it happened, and you're just supposed to believe her because she's coming to court saying it. And you need way more than that. You need way more than that. You might only need that to make a police report. You may only need that to get the police to go to the prosecutor and get a warrant issued, but you need more than that when you come to court and ask and use that to have the people meet their burden of proof. You gotta testify credibly. If you're the only witness, if you're all of your testimony is all of the people's evidence, you have to testify credibly. You have to tell the truth. And the details do matter here. I agree with the people. And the most important detail is that this witness wants this court to know, to believe that she kind of just hangs out with people who go to NA. She kind of just moves through these NA meetings, not invited as a guest speaker, but she kind of just shows up there because she wants to help the people. That is not believable testimony again. That does not make any sense. People who don't use crack don't hang out with people who do use crack. You don't go to NA meetings if you do not have a substance abuse problem. And I wasn't trying to get into her personal business or anything like that, that whether or not she has a substance abuse problem, it's commendable if you have a substance abuse problem and you take the steps that Ms. McQuire has taken to own your problem and start working on your problem. So looking at the way Ms. Brown has testified, looking at the way that Ms. McQuire has testified, at the very best, you have a tie. And if you have a tie, the tie goes to the defendant. Ms. Brown's testimony is just not believable enough for it to be used to sustain the people's burden. Maybe one more witness coming in testifying, saying this is what happened at the NA. Maybe the officer in charge coming in and supporting Ms. Brown's testimony that she went to the police station right after this event. Something other than the testimony of somebody who says she just kind of goes to somewhere between 10 and 50 NA meetings because she's trying to get people to live in their houses. It's
Any rebuttal?
Yes, Your Honor. So, Your Honor, I think the defense counsel brought up an important point about credibility testimony. And Ms. McQuarter gave up her right to testify, to remain silent and testify to this court as to what happened on that day. And just what sticks out to the people was real interested is that when I first introduced myself to Ms. McQuarter, she was pleasant. I asked her, if you need me to repeat any questions or you need me to, say another question, just let me know. And she was pleasant. Yes, ma'am. She answered respectfully. But as soon as the people brought up Ms. Brown, her whole demeanor changed. She said that Ms. Brown irritated her by arriving late. Ms. Brown came to the meeting late. That's why I think she testified that she was irritated and it upset her that Ms. Brown came to this meeting. But what's missing, Judge, is that why was Ms. McQuarter so irritated and so irritable about Ms. Brown's presence? Why did it irritate her as she testified that she didn't know Ms. Brown outside of these meetings? And what's also interesting, Judge, is that Ms. McQuarter testified that she goes to NA and AA meetings. And that's not a problem, Judge. However Ms. McQuarter chooses to deal with her issues is her own choice. However, what's interesting is she testified that she only experimented with crack and drugs. That wasn't her choice of drug. Her choice of drug was alcohol. So if that's the case, Your Honor, what's confusing to the people is why Ms. McQuarter was even at the NA meeting if that's not her choice of drug, if that's not what she chooses to do is alcohol. And there was just a lot of holes and a lot of inconsistency in Ms. McQuarter's statement. What's also interesting to the people from Ms. McQuarter's testimony is that there were 50 or more people at this meeting, and she testified that the topics of the meetings are the steps in the program and what everyone speaks on as far as what steps they're in the program. But she testified that this argument lasted about 15 to 20 minutes. And she testified to Ms. Stevenson about that time. And then when the people got on cross-examination and asked her, she said, well, the meeting was 1 hour and 30 minutes. And that this meeting lasted an additional about 15 to 20 minutes after this argument between her and Ms. Brown. And again, Your Honor, it's just a lot of inconsistencies and a lot of holes in what Ms. McQuarter's testimony was. And reason being is that Ms. McQuarter is not a credible person, right? Ms. McQuarter was not telling the truth about what happened on that day. And it seems to the people that the missing pieces is exactly what Ms. Brown testified to. Ms. Brown came to this meeting, she sat next to this young man at this meeting that Ms. McQuarter may be going to this NA meeting for, we don't know. But she was upset as soon as Ms. McQuarter was upset as soon as the people brought up Ms. Brown and her presence there. And it shows because she was upset that she was coming to this meeting, sitting next to this young man that she may or may not like or may or may not know. And that's what started this altercation between Ms. McQuarter and Ms. Brown. And we want the court to again consider the testimony from Ms. Brown because the people believe that Ms. Brown is telling the truth to the court about what happened. And if we're comparing testimonies, Your Honor, Ms. McQuarter's testimony is not consistent with what Ms. Brown testified to. And again, Your Honor, I'm gonna ask the court to find Ms. McQuarter guilty of count 2 assault and battery. Thank you.
All right, the court has had an opportunity to consider the charges against Ms. McQuarter, the testimony of the witnesses, the arguments of counsel, and I'm ready to render my verdict. The people have the burden to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that on or about January 29, 2018, at or near the location of 3481 Rivard in the city of Detroit, in the county of Wayne, that Monica McQuarter committed 1 count of malicious destruction of personal property and 1 count of assault or assault battery against 1 Kim Monique Brown. in order to meet its burden, the people presented one witness. The people concede that they did not present, proof beyond a reasonable doubt as to count one, and therefore the court, of course, finds Ms. McQuire not guilty of count one and dismisses count one with prejudice. And then with respect to count two, the assault or some battery, the people's witness testified that she was at this, NA meeting. She came in, she was beckoned over. She sat in a chair at a table where Ms. McQuire was already sitting, and that, she made a comment to the gentleman that why did he put the chair there? Cause he know that Ms. McQuire wanted to sit there. And then Ms. McQuire said, you know, don't nobody like you. And this, I guess, was going on while the meeting was going on. And then she says, Ms. McQuire stood up and threw the coffee in her face and grabbed her purse. And then the meeting basically ended. And then prior to that, the witness testified that she was at the meeting looking for clients for her 3-quarter housing. And then on cross-examination, the witness stated again 2 or 3 times that she was at the meeting at the Catholic Church to recruit clients for her 3-quarter housing. And then the court denied the defendant's motion for a directed verdict, taking that testimony in the light most favorable to the non-moving party. So now we come to the conclusion of the entire case, and now the court looks back at that testimony. And then I was immediately reminded of the jury instruction that gives direction to the jurors as to how they are to judge credibility of a witness. And I, in general, take those same steps in processing how I judge the credibility of a witness. And then one of the things that the jury instruction, of course, instructs the jury is that they are free to believe all, none, or part of a person's testimony. And then if you could decide that a person lied about something that was critical to how you make your decision, and then you discard their whole testimony, or you're free to believe part of what they say and disregard something else of what they say. So I'm gonna just talk about the people's case, which the people did only submit one witness. And of course, this court has found defendants guilty with one witness. The court believes that it is possible for the people to meet their burden with just one witness. And when the people meet their burden with just one witness, that witness is a credible witness. That witness is a witness that tells a story that makes all the sense to the court. There may be some corroborating evidence, but at certain points there may not be. One of the reasons the court is an adamant believer that cases can be proven with just one witness is because in many situations, when we're talking about cases like domestic violence or sexual abuse, there is only one witness. And so the court has to be in tune with the fact that cases can be proven with just one witness. So now I said that to say, this is not that. It's not that. Ms. Brown testified, and but for Ms. Brown being adamant that she was at these NA meetings in violation of the law, I believed her testimony. I don't believe that the person running the NA meeting that is required to follow certain procedures and protocol would allow an interloper to come into the meeting on numerous of occasions and interlope into a meeting that is a narcotics anonymous meeting. It's narcotics anonymous. It's anonymous. And so the only people, can you see if that's Joyce Reason over in Owen? The only people that should be at the Narcotics Anonymous meeting are the people who trying to get off narcotics and be anonymous. That took me back and I was offended too. Narcotics Anonymous is not a place where people go to recruit clients. Narcotics Anonymous is a safe place for people fighting drug addiction to go and fight their drug addiction anonymously. And if the Narcotics Anonymous is letting Ms. Brown on more than 20 occasions come into their meeting, making the meeting no longer anonymous, they should be reported. Their ability to conduct meetings should be revoked. They should be reported to whatever governing body governs Narcotics Anonymous. In this courtroom, when defendants are instructed to attend a 12-step program, and they are going to attend that program online, the court makes it clear to the people that you cannot take a photograph or a picture because the screen is anonymous. The people attending the session are anonymous. Now, I don't know why Ms. Brown Ms. Brown could be telling the truth, I guess. She could be telling the truth that somebody let her interlope every meeting to recruit people for her home. That violates so many ethical things on so many levels. And then that's why I don't believe that. But let's just say this. Let's say I choose not to believe that part of her testimony. But it's not a critical part of what I have to decide. So if I throw out that whole testimony and I say, I'm left with Ms. Brown saying that Ms. McQuire threw the coffee on her. There's an individual that runs the AA and NA meetings. There's a person, there's like a group leader, a team leader. There are sponsors at these NA and AA meetings who are serious about sobriety and who have been sober for, lengthy periods of time, and then they still go to the meetings and whatnot. And so they're, present and blah, blah, blah. I don't know if any of these people were interviewed or subpoenaed, but they're not here. Not the group leader, not a sponsor, not the person who allowed a person to come and be an interloper in the meeting. And this is what I'm saying. If Ms. Brown was going to these meetings and then trying to recruit people like after the meeting, because you don't have to speak at the meetings, so you don't have to speak. Ms. McQuire testified, you don't have to speak. You can come in that meeting, don't say a word. But I believe somebody would have reported her. I believe they would have said she's not a drug addict. She shouldn't be in here with us trying to get sober. Now, I found Ms. McQuire to be very credible. I found Ms. McQuire to not be She had some inconsistencies in her testimony, let me say that. She did. But I believe she testified honestly. I believe she tried to testify truthfully. I believe she might have been mistaken about some of the things that she testified to. But I believe that Ms. McQuire is a recovering addict who is fighting for her sobriety, and she goes to many meetings. Her reason for leaving the NA meeting sounded acceptable. So again, I'm saying that part to say this. There was no, and I don't know where the OIC is or the person who took the report from Ms. Brown on the night of the incident, but they should have showed up. Somebody should have come to let the court know or to support that, yeah, something might have happened at that meeting, because then she went straight to the police. And then the police seemingly would have contacted the meeting leader, the facilitator of the meeting. Because the rest of the people, they might want to say, no, I'm anonymous. I'm not gonna go on tell y'all what happened at the meeting, because I don't want anybody to know I was at the meeting. But the Catholic Church, like the security for the meeting, like somebody else should have been able to say, no, somebody did throw coffee on somebody at that meeting. I remember somebody threw coffee. Okay, so that is lacking. And therefore, with respect to count 2, the court is also going to find Ms. McQuire not guilty of assault or assault battery and dismiss the matter with prejudice. Anything further?
No, that's good. Nothing on behalf of Mr. Squire. Thank you very much.
All right, you're welcome.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome. And then, Ms. Ritter, I don't know if your witness really be going to them meetings recruiting people, but she better stop, because I'm a reporter. I'm going to report her.
Yes, sir.
Ms. McQuire, you can have a seat in the hall. We'll get you a copy of the order of dismissal.
Yes,
But no,
ma'am.
don't go in the hall, because I don't know. Just have a seat in the courtroom.
Yes, ma'am.
You may. Yes, tell her to stop recruiting at the meeting.
Should I zoom off and then get back on?
Yes. Yeah.